Welcome to the debate. If you handed the CEO of a Fortune 500 company an ancient spiritual manuscript, could they actually use it to increase their quarterly profits?
Right, it sounds ridiculous, but today we are looking at a text that completely blurs the line between divine law and raw market capitalism.
Exactly. The book is The Seven Laws of Wealth, and the central premise we're debating today is this quote: "Your rewards in life are determined by the kinds of problems you are willing to solve for others."
Which, perfectly sets up our two very different angles today. I'm reading this as spiritual counsel, where wealth is intrinsically tied to divine alignment.
And I'm looking at it through a corporate lens. To me, this text fundamentally outlines how to execute market labor. It's a pragmatic manual, really, for solving tangible human problems to generate revenue.
Spiritual counsel, that neat secular framework breaks down entirely. The mechanics of the market here are completely secondary to the posture of the soul. Wealth just isn't the product of market efficiency.
Let's look at the actual mechanism of the law of reward, though. The text argues that when you solve a problem, you schedule a reward.
A spiritual reward.
Well, it treats wealth like a physics equation, not a lottery ticket. You apply the friction of labor to a human pain point, and the resulting energy is wealth. The reward is scheduled by the market action itself. It's pure economic utility.
You're starting at the transaction, but the text starts at conception. The very first law listed is the law of belief.
Right, but belief doesn't pay the bills.
It does here. It says all things are possible to him that believeth. Faith is the fundamental engine, and the mechanism is psychological and spiritual.
Okay, but how does that translate to the market?
When the spiritual entrepreneur truly believes their provision is guaranteed by God, as the text quotes, "He that cometh to God must believe," it eliminates the paralysis of market volatility. They take calculated, visionary risks that a panicked secular operator just wouldn't dare take.
Guaranteed provision sounds incredibly risky.
But belief entirely precedes the market action. It's the foundation.
So if belief is the catalyst that gets you moving, how do you actually execute? Because if you run a business, you know that taking a risk is useless without execution.
Sure, execution matters.
Right. And the text brings up the law of focus. It uses the analogy of a man who put his hand to the plow and looking back isn't fit for the kingdom. In the modern business world, pressing toward the mark is exactly how we set key performance indicators.
Wait, you're equating a biblical plow to like a KPI?
Absolutely. It's a productivity metric. You lock your eyes on the goal, ignore distractions, and drive forward.
You're stripping away the core directive to make it fit a corporate mold, though. The text explicitly defines this focus by quoting Hebrews again, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith.
It's just theological framing for operational focus.
No, the plow is a metaphor for unwavering spiritual obedience. If your focus is purely on hitting a Q3 revenue target, you've missed the mark the text is actually pointing toward. The discipline isn't about business optimization. It's about not turning away from divine instruction.
Even if the text uses theological language, relentless execution is what drives secular prosperity. But let's assume your intense KPI-driven focus generates that wealth. It doesn't explain how you survive the market long-term.
Which is where the law of honor comes in.
Exactly. Before honor is humility. I view this as a highly practical prerequisite for ethical wealth creation. The market punishes arrogance, Honor is basically a mechanism for brand protection and stakeholder trust.
A PR strategy? Look at the actual consequences laid out for breaking that law. The text ties honor directly to fearing God and respecting parents.
Sure.
It warns, "Whoso curseth his father or his mother, his lamp shall be put out in obscure darkness."
Which is a dramatic way of saying you'll bankrupt yourself if you burn bridges.
That is not a PR crisis or dip in stock prices. The mechanism of failure here is divine retribution. It makes honor a spiritual law governing life and death, not a corporate ethics policy designed to protect a brand's reputation.
Well, we are clearly looking at two radically different engines driving the exact same vehicle. On one side, wealth is the mechanical, predictable outcome of solving market problems with disciplined focus and an ethical reputation.
Right. And on the other, prosperity is a divine reward demanding faith, spiritual obedience, and the fear of God.
And yet the actual behaviors required are identical.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. Whether you view them as corporate strategies or divine mandates, unwavering focus, solving human problems, and operating with honor are absolute requirements.
The actions remain the same even if the origin points diverge completely. It leaves us with a fascinating question to consider. Does wealth fundamentally require adherence to divine architecture?
Or did modern capitalism simply take ancient spiritual laws, strip away the name of God, and rebrand them as best practices?
We'll leave that for you to decide.